Good afternoon, gentle listener. It's Erin, your librarian storyteller for the day. Welcome back to Legend and Lore, where every week I'll be telling you a handful of myths, folktales, and fairy tales that come from different cultures all around the world, from Japan to South Africa, from Greece to Polynesia. This week I'll be regaling you with some Chinese legend and lore. Now make sure you stick around because at some point I'll be giving out a keyword to enter into your summer reading account. If you participate and earn enough points through these keywords, you just might win a fabulous prize. Well, with that little PSA out of the way, let me give you a little background into the world of Chinese mythology. This particular brand of mythology contains many variations based on regional and cultural differences, often mixing in with different eras of the country's religions, from Confucianism to Taoism to Buddhism. Oftentimes, themes will involve historical folk heroes whose potentially real-life accomplishments are given a mythical element to exemplify a lesson, a deed, or a ritual that is performed today, or even simply a commonly occurring phenomena. With that little bit of history, let's get started. My first story that I will be telling to you is the story of the Monkey King, also known as a Chinese trickster god who plays a central role in the 16th century novel Journey to the West, where he achieves enlightenment as a monk's disciple. Now, the Monkey King, also known as Sun Wukong, is quite an unusual character and could likely have filled up a book all on his own. He is known for being blessed with unmatched superhuman strength and the ability to transform into 72 different animals and objects. Each one of his hairs has transformative powers, and he can magically manipulate wind, water, and fire as well. He's also very well known for his short temper, impatience, and proclivity towards anger. He is one of the most beloved literary figures of Chinese culture. But how did such a creature and character come about? Let me tell you. In ancient times, a magical rock rested on top of Mount Huanggo. One day, a stiff breeze blew upon the rock and caused a fully formed monkey to burst forth from its stone face. Despite having just been born, the young monkey was already able to walk and speak. When Wukong opened his eyes, golden beams of light shot forth from his pupils, piercing the clouds and startling the Jade Emperor. The Jade Emperor being known to be as one of the first and most important gods of Chinese mythology, known as the ruler of heaven and also known as the very first of the Chinese emperors. Regardless, when the Jade Emperor looked for the source of the strange light, all he could see from his heavenly palace was a baby monkey. Thinking that the light could not possibly emanate from such a source, the Jade Emperor dismissed the incident from his mind. As he began exploring the forest, Sun Wukong discovered other monkeys and decided to live among them. One day the group was relaxing near a waterfall when they decided to play a game. Whoever was brave enough to jump through the falls and find the stream's source would be named King of the Monkeys. Well, of course, Sun Wukong did not hesitate, and he immediately leapt through the waterfall and traveled up the stream to find its source. His mission was successful, and he quickly returned and declared himself king. With the support of the forest monkeys, Sun Wukong quickly established himself as a powerful forest demon that would go on to battle the Dragon King and other sea demons. His exploits earned him a number of powerful weapons, including his signature gold chainmail shirt, phoenix cap, cloud walking boots, and magical 8-ton staff. When the time came for Wang, the principal leader of the 10 kings of hell and overseer of the underworld, as well as the kings of hell, to collect Wukong's soul, Wukong was ready for them. He tricked Wang into allowing him to return on Earth without undergoing reincarnation. Before leaving hell, Wukong managed to erase his and every other forest monkey's name from the Book of Life and Death. Troubled that the balance of life was upset by a mere monkey, Wang appealed to the Jade Emperor for assistance. Upon hearing about the irrescribable demon of Mount Huanggo, the Jade Emperor felt that the best way to subdue Wukong was to allow him to live in heaven with the other gods so that he would feel a sense of importance. He issued an invitation to Wukong, who eagerly accepted. After saying goodbye to his friends, the Monkey King set off for the Jade Palace in the sky. Once he got there, however, Sun Wukong discovered he was assigned to the lowest task in all of heaven, guarding the Jade Emperor's horses. He quickly realized that because he was a monkey, the other gods would never see him as a peer. In hopes of finding a way to prove himself an equal, the Monkey King became obsessed with the idea of immortality and devoted himself to the pursuit of everlasting life. And when the Jade Emperor encouraged him to take up more fruitful pursuits, Wukong scorned him in response. One day, the Jade Emperor held a party to celebrate his wife, Shi Wangwu. Having been unknowingly excluded from the party, Wukong decided to drop by and was laughed out of the hall by the other gods. Hurt by the actions of his peers, Wukong declared himself to be Kui Ten Da Sheng, or the Great Sage equal to heaven. He also made an enormous banner to taunt the emperor. The Jade Emperor sent a battalion of soldiers to arrest Wukong for his insolence, but they proved to be no match for him. After defeating the last soldier, the Monkey King shouted victoriously, "Remember my name! Great Sage equal to heaven, Sun Wukong!" The Monkey King's victory forced the Jade Emperor to acknowledge his power. In recognition of his talent, the Jade Emperor promoted him to guard Shi Wangwu's peaches of immortality. But this was not enough for the Monkey King, who truly believed that he was the Jade Emperor's equal. Viewing this promotion as yet another insult, Wukong decided that enough was enough. In a final act of defiance, Wukong ate all of the peaches in the garden. The Jade Emperor was furious and sent 2 battalions after the Monkey King. But once again, Wukong defeated them all. Out of options, the Jade Emperor told Buddha what had happened and begged him to intervene. Buddha immediately banished Wukong from heaven and pinned him underneath a mountain so that he could reflect on his actions. For 500 years, Wukong lay immobilized beneath the great weight of Buddha's mountain. Eventually, a traveling monk by the name of Tang Sanzang found the Monkey King and offered to release him, on the condition that he would repent and become the monk's disciple. Now at first the Monkey King rejected the monk's offer. Sun Wukong would play servant to no one, least of all a human. However, when Tang began to walk away, Wukong quickly changed his mind. He decided he would gladly serve the monk in exchange for his release. But before Tang freed Wukong, the goddess of mercy, Guan Yin, gave the monk a magical band that granted him control over the Monkey King. After being freed from the weight of the mountain, Sun Wukong joined Tang's other demonic traveling companions, Zhu Baji, or Piggy, and Xiao Wujing, or Sandy. Grateful to be released from his imprisonment, Sun Wukong served Tang faithfully during their journey to India and cheerfully battled demons whenever the need arose. Through his noble deeds and dedication to Tang's teachings, Sun Wukong eventually achieved enlightenment and put an end to his angry, greedy, and envious tendencies. And that is the story of the Monkey King. But it's not the only story I have for you today. This next story you might be semi-familiar with. It is as it focuses on the origins of the Chinese Zodiac. That is to say, the 12 animals that we even in the West are very familiar with and often look to for fortunes being told or horoscopes and such things. There are many versions of this story. Some say that it was the Jade Emperor who called the shots, and others say it was Buddha. But nevertheless, the story is pretty much the same. How the Chinese zodiac was decided and how the calendar was first originated began with a race. According to the stories, the 12 animals of the Chinese zodiac were selected through a race. This race is meant to create time measurement for the people. There could only be 12 winners, and in order to win, the animals had to cross a rapid current river and finish at the line on the other side of the shore. Now, originally, there was a cat and a rat who hated each other with a passion. It's hard to believe they were even once friends. These two were the worst swimmers in the animal kingdom, but they were also the cleverest. They discovered that the fastest way to the river was to hop on top of the ox. The generous ox agreed to carry them both across the river. However, the rat was so eager to win that he pushed the cat into the water. Thus, the cat never forgave the rat. and wasn't included in the race, never making it onto the calendar. Now, there are other variations of the story that says the rat just never told the cat about the race to begin with, but I figure this one's a little more entertaining. Regardless, after the cat was pushed into the water, the ox and the rat made it to shore. The rat jumped in front of the ox and came first in the race. The ox came in second, and the tiger finished in third. Now all of a sudden, a loud thumping sound came. It was the rabbit. It jumped from one stone to another and was doing very well in the race until it slipped. Fortunately, there was a log floating by, and it grabbed onto that log and floated to the finish line, earning 4th place in the race. In 5th place, there was the dragon, but everyone originally thought that it would come in 1st place because it could fly. In response to this line of questioning, it told the Jade Emperor that it had to stop a couple times to help some villagers, and on its way to the finish line, it saw a little rabbit on a log and decided to give it a puff of air to help it get to shore. After the dragon, the horse came galloping towards the finish line. The sneaky snake was hidden behind the horse's foot. It suddenly appeared and the horse was scared. The snake took advantage of this and landed itself in 6th place, and the horse landed in 7th. Soon after this came the monkey, the rooster, and the sheep landing onto the shore. Unlike some of the previous animals, these 3 had actually helped each other to get to the finish line. The rooster had found a raft, and the monkey and sheep hopped on. Working hard together through the water currents and the weeds, they reached the shore, the sheep coming in 8th place, the monkey in 9th place, and the rooster in 10th place. In 11th place was the dog. Even though it was a great swimmer, it was late. It told the emperor that it needed a bath, and the fresh water from the river was just too tempting. Right when the emperor was going to close the race, an oink sound was heard. It was the pig. Lazy little pig originated from this story. The pig had felt hungry in the middle of the race, so it stopped, ate something, and then fell asleep. After it awoke, it finished the race in 12th place and became the last animal to arrive. The order of the lunar calendar follows the outcome of this race, where the rat is the first animal to start the sequence, and the pig is the last. After the pig, the sequence starts all over again. And that is the story of how the Chinese zodiac came to be. Like I said, there are many variations of this story, but it's a fun idea that such an important measure of time was decided in a foot race. And all the other animals that could have taken part and won, guess they just weren't fast enough. My last story for the day is probably one of the most well-known folk tales of Chinese culture. It's a love story, and it's a very popular one, though it is remarkably very sad. This is the story of the Cowherd and the Weaver Girl. Once upon a time, there were 2 stars in the sky. A star by the name of Xenu, known as the Weaver Girl, which is symbolized by the star Vega, and a star by the name of Niu Lang, also heard as the Cowherd, and symbolizing the star Altair. Once upon a time, these 2 stars in the heavens fell in love with each other. Theirs was a forbidden love, because of the stars, the one named Xenu was Queen Mother of the West, one of the most prominent and powerful goddesses in Chinese mythology and religion. She was her granddaughter. When the Queen Mother found out about their love, she was absolutely enraged. She flew into an almighty fury and condemned her granddaughter to weave ceaselessly in the sky, creating beautiful clouds out of pinks and whites and purples and blues, and banished her beloved from the heavens down to the world below to live a mortal life and to keep the 2 separated. On earth, her beloved was born anew into a farmer's family, but again was given the name Niu Lang. While he was a young boy, both of his parents passed away, and he was left in the care of his older brother and his brother's wife. However, the family was not a happy one, and they did not treat the younger brother in the kinded way that such a child deserves. Instead, they sent him from the house with only an old ox to help him make his way in the world. Niu Long and his ox companion worked very hard to earn a living, and in time, Niu Long saved enough money to buy a small house for the two of them. Niu Long had no family and no friends, and his days were spent alone with only the old ox for company. One day, in the realm of the gods, several celestial maidens, or star maidens, begged the Queen Mother to allow them to go swimming in a beautiful lake that they had spotted on Earth. The Queen Mother was in a particularly good humor that day and decided to give them permission. As they were about to descend to Earth, they saw Xenu at her loom, weaving with an expression of profound sorrow on her face, and they asked the Queen Mother if she could join them. The Queen Mother was not completely unfeeling, and seeing the sorrow on her granddaughter's face, she said that she could, on the condition that they did not stay at the lake too long. They agreed, and down they went. Now on the same day, Niu Long's old ox opened up its mouth and spoke to him. The ox said, "Niu Long, you must go to Billion Lake today. A group of fair maidens are coming to swim in the lake. When they are in the water, you must take the red clothes abandoned on the banks and hide them somewhere. If you do, the owner of the clothes will agree to be your wife." After Niu Long had gotten over his surprise at his ox talking, he hastened to the lake and found a place to hide amongst the reeds. Before long, the celestial maidens arrived with Xenu in tow. They undressed at the edge of the lake, waded out into the crystalline waters, and began to swim. While they were in the middle of the lake, far from the banks, Niu Long ran to the pile of clothes they had left behind, took specifically the red garments from it, and ran off into the trees to hide them before the maidens could stop them. When Niu Long returned, he went to Xenu on the shore and told her that he would return her clothes to her, on the condition that she must promise to marry him. Xenu looked at Niu Long and shocked and angry for a moment, but as she stared at him, she found that there was something familiar about him, something she recognized, and after a long few moments spent looking into his eyes, she realized that he was her celestial lover in human form, and agreed to marry him happily. And for a long time they were happy together as a married couple, and their happiness went undisturbed for quite a long time. Xenu bore 2 children, a son and a daughter, and it seemed as though they would be able to stay together forever, happy in their home on Earth. In time, however, Queen Mother realized that Xenu was missing. Her anger flared up once more, and she ordered the gods to pluck Xenu from Earth and return her to her rightful place in the heavens. Too frightened to disobey, the gods descended on the winds of a great tempest that had been sent from the heavens. They found Xenu alone in her house and took her away with them. As Xenu was carried up into the heavens in the clutches of the gods, she heard the voice of Niu Long calling out from her behind. She looked up, and she saw that he was following them. How would he able to do this? Well, some variations of the story say he simply was inspired by the power of love. Others say that his old ox, seeing his beloved friend so miserable and terrified of his wife being taken away, told him that if Niu Long slayed the old ox and wore his skin, he would be able to follow his beloved. Whether Niu Long tearfully did this and flew after his wife wearing the skin of his old friend, or whether he simply got very, very magically lucky and chased after her the old-fashioned way, who can say? But regardless, he did follow them, with their children in his arms. The distance between them began to shrink as they flew through the heavens. But when Queen Mother saw that Niu Long was catching up with the gods, she plucked a hairpin from her head and used it to slice open the sky between the lovers. In seconds, a mighty river had gushed out of the gash in the sky, separating from Xenu from her husband and her 2 children. Thus, the Milky Way was created, separating the 2 lovers. The children shouted across the river at their mother, and both Xenu and Nulong wept because their happiness had once again been stolen from them. Their sorrow did not abate, and eventually even the gods began to sympathize with them. Queen Mother was the last to be touched by their sorrow. But when she was, she made a concession to the lovers and decided to allow them to be reunited once a year on the 7th day of the 7th lunar month, when magpies would raise from the earth and form a bridge across the river for the lovers to cross. The river in the sky is visible even now, known to us as the Milky Way. We can also see the lovers on either side of this great river if we know where to look for them. Again, we know them as Vega and Altair, and they are two of the brightest stars in the night sky. And that is the story of the Cowherd and the Weaver Girl. As promised, I do have a keyword for you today. The keyword of the day, I have decided, will be the cheerful name of our Monkey King. Sun Wukong. Though in this case, we'll just go with Wukong. So, all capitals, W-U-K-O-N-G, Wukong. Enter that into your summer reading account and enter for a fabulous chance at a fabulous prize. That's all for us today, gentle listeners. Tune in next time for the last installment of this series. I hope to see you all very soon. Please be well and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day. Goodbye.